This is Carl at National RV Detroit. I'm going to walk you through this 2022 Flagstaff Micro Lite, model number 21DS. It has a Murphy bed in the front. Okay, so this is not a sales video. It's not a floor plan video. It's just a how-to video. So I'm just going to show you some of the features and how they work. Okay. So standing here at the door side rear, you can see we have regular scissor type stabilizers. You get a crank with it, obviously, to operate it. You could also use a 3/4 inch 6-point socket on a drill if you need to. Your low point drains for when you're winterizing are right down here. Just look at there's a sticker there. Now you get a griddle with this one that hangs on this rail here. That's probably still sitting inside. Yeah, right here. So that hangs right on this rail here, and then you also have a rubber LP hose with quick connects on it, and you'll connect one end to the grill, and then the other one is connected right there. Okay, so keep that in mind. You also get a utility table that sits next to that, or hangs next to that anyway. Okay, so you have outside speakers, of course, and I mentioned the power awning with the LED. I don't know if I mentioned it, but it has a power awning with LED. Now this right here, this is the vent for your range hood. So inside there's a baffle. If you push up on each end, there's a little latch there. It's hard to see in this light, but just make sure if you're venting to the outside, you want to open that baffle so it flaps freely. Otherwise it won't vent to the outside. It'll be deflected by that baffle. So you want that open so you vent to the outside. Other times when you're traveling or in storage, you can just keep it shut. Okay. So you have a TV out, power, and then a bracket to hang a TV out here. All right. This is the table I told you about, the utility table that hangs on the rail next to the griddle. Keep in mind this is a hookup for a solar battery charger. If you wanted to purchase a solar kit with a portable solar panel to charge your battery, you can buy it and plug it in right there. This plug happens to be for the Go Power brand, or this plug, whatever I call it, a plug, I think. Okay, so you get 2 deep cycle marine batteries. That's great. They're wired together as 12 volts, so they're still putting out 12 volt. It just doubles the storage capacity, which is important when you have an inverter and you have a solar panel on it. So you have 2 deep cycle marine batteries. You have 2 LP tanks, 30 pounds, a power tongue jack right here. Now keep in mind that if this tongue jack ever fails, you can pull this plug in the top here, and there should be a crank here somewhere. Let's see which one we have here. I'm going to have to look. Yeah, that one looks like you can use a socket on, but there is also a crank in here for that. I just have to find it. I don't see it offhand, but I'll make sure there's one in here. Okay. Let's see. So power tongue jack. Your docking light's right here. This is the fill for your fresh water tank. If you're the most common way to get water to the trailer is your city water hookup, right, which is over towards the back. If you're going to a campground that does not have plumbing on the campsite, you can pre-fill your fresh water tank right here. Turn on the onboard pump, and it'll pump the water just as though you have city water, but you'll be pumping it from the tank. So if you have city water, you don't have to worry about the pump or this tank right here. But if you don't have it, that's the way around it. Your fresh water drain is down here, just so you know, it's below there. You have this is like your dump hose here, and that's a reducer for your power cord. Your power cord is a 30 amp cord. It's 30 feet long, as you can see. This is your, well, let's do this. These are your valves for your holding tanks. You got your gray valve for your gray tank, which is sink and shower water. You got your black valve for your black tank, which is toilet water and waste. Now if you leave the black tank valve open after you dump it, you can come around here and hook the hose at the dump station onto this flush valve here. You can see it's got a sticker for it here, so it tells you to make sure the valve's open. That's important. But you screw the hose on there, turn it on, it'll spray out the inside of your black tank. It'll also clean off the sensor so you get a good accurate reading. Alright, the city water connection I told you about is right here. So you hook the hose on there and you turn it on and everything is ready to go. And this last one is for winterizing the trailer. It's something you'll have to, if you're going to do it yourself, you have to educate yourself a bit, but that's where you draw the antifreeze in right there. You would make up a hose, it's got a garden hose fitting on it, make up a hose that reaches to the ground, and then you would put it into a gallon of antifreeze and draw it into the system. This one would probably take 2 gallons, I would imagine. So, also this is just a sprayer, an outside shower for kids and dogs and feet and bicycles and whatever you got to hose down. Okay. Now, while we're standing here, this has a ladder, which is a great thing. The manufacturer states that you should inspect your roof every 90 days, which is a good thing to do. People generally don't inspect their roof enough. You're just looking around up there. You can walk up there, no problem. Just be very careful. But you're going to look at all the lap sealant, all the sealant up there, and make sure there's no cracking or separation, any place water could get in. Some years, sometime you will find it. It's usually at a corner area, but not always. So that's why you're inspecting. You might not have to touch up the roof for years, but you just don't know. So you're kind of protecting your investment. You also look at all the roofing attachments and the roofing material. Make sure it wasn't damaged by low branches or road debris flying up there. Just give it a good inspection, and if you see any issues, take care of it immediately. Okay? Alrighty, so this is the water heater here. The switches to operate it are inside the trailer. Basically, there's a heating element behind this cover here. So when you turn it on electric, it'll fire up the heating element, and people generally keep that running all the time they're at the campground, just so the water's always hot. If you need to get more hot water, you can always kick on the burner, and it's not on demand or anything like that, but you'll be able to shower much longer, so because it's that much more hot than the regular water, and it's during showering, especially when more than one person is using it, people tend to turn both of them on at the same time. Okay, but the thing is, only turn on the burner on it when you need to. You don't just keep it running on burner, because you're going to waste LP keeping your water warm when the electric element will do just fine. Always remember this: never turn on your burner or your heating element when there's not water in the tank. The tank is right behind here, right? There's bypass valves on the back for winterizing, that sort of thing. This is the drain right here. It takes 1 1/16" 6-point socket, plus about a 6-inch extension and a bar or ratchet to break it free. But that's where you drain it. Always remember that it has an anode rod on the back, which makes it 6 or 8 inches long, and that's a sacrificial rod. So when you drain it, let's say you're camping in the early spring, and then you're not going to go till the late fall. Well, you don't want to leave the same water in the 6-gallon water tank, so you would unscrew this and drain it out. Set your anode rod / cap right here. But remember, when you put it back in, and one note is you always want to start it with your fingers. You never start it with a ratchet, because it's a heavy. There's a lot of weight at the other end, so it tends to want to pull down. So you want to start it with your fingers and make sure you can go 2 or 3 revolutions before you use any tools on it, because you don't want to accidentally strip it out. So keep that in mind. But you always want to make sure there's water in the tank after you do that. So what you do is you hook up your water, you go inside and open your hot water valve, and air will come spitting out, and then a little bit more water, and pretty soon it's a solid stream of water. Once you get the solid stream of water coming out, you know that it's full. Then you can turn it on. Never turn it on before you put water in it. Okay? Alright. This is just here, you pull the screw. Everything is put together with number 2 square-headed screws. So you take this screw out, and behind here there's a water filter canister and the water pump, just so you know. The water filter canister, you get a filter with it. It'll be inside the trailer. If you choose to use it, you use it for 1 season and then throw it out. You throw it out before you winterize in the fall, and then after you de-winterize in the spring, you'd put a new one in for the season. So it's up to you. Okay, so let's go inside here. I have got a limited amount of time before this starts another file, so let me just pick up the pace a little bit here. Okay, some lights going. So this is your Murphy bed. The only thing to remember about the Murphy bed is you jackknife this flat. You're going to pull it out right down here, jackknife it flat, and then the bed comes over it. Never try to put the bed up or down without pulling that knob. You see the knob at the top there, that black knob? Once you get the bed down in this position, you're going to pull it out so you can latch it into place. And before you try to lift it up, you always want to pull that out, or else you'll wind up bending the latch arm there. So make sure you do that, okay? Alright, so this trailer has solar panels. It has 2 batteries, like I said, 12 volt DC, it just doubles the storage capacity. It inverts power, which is inversion is taking 12 volt DC and inverting it to 120 AC. The reason you want to do that is to use even though you're not plugged into the power grid, you could still run some appliances for a while anyway off the battery. Some of these plugs are going to be inverted. This one is, see, it says inverter circuit on the plug. Not all of them are inverted, but the idea is if you need to use an appliance, a hairdryer or something, you can plug it in. That runs on AC power. You can plug it in there. You always turn the inverter on right there. It glows green. If you were here, you would hear it rev it up there. And basically you just run this as you need it. After you're done using it, you're going to just hold it. You can hold the button for a minute before you take your finger off, and then it shuts off. So that's inverting power. So when you're inverting, when you're pulling it down the road, for example, just so we talk about charging, your tow vehicle charges the battery, the alternator in your tow vehicle charges the battery, right? When you're plugged in, your power converter, if I can find it here, let's see here, let's walk past it. Yes, your power converter, which I'll show you in a minute here, is charging your battery when you're plugged in, and of course your solar panels are always charging, unless the batteries are full. Then I'll tell you about that in a second. So anyway, so that was the inverter. This is the converter here. This does just the opposite. It goes from AC to DC power. So you start off with AC power when you're plugged in here. This is like your distribution center. These are all circuit breakers like you'd see at home. They're all labeled. Then it converts the power to 12 volt DC. So you got 12 volt fuses here, and they're all labeled. That's all the 12 volt things that'll run off of the converter here. These 240s are masters. If you ever have a wild power surge or something, the 12 volt side goes out. Always look at these two, because that's where the problem almost always is. It's just protecting the job, or protecting the 12 volt side. That's what it's supposed to do. So the other thing is when you're plugged into shore power, this will sense how much energy your batteries need, and it'll always keep them charged. If they're topped off, it'll trickle a couple amps to maintain it. If it's low, it'll send 10 amps or whatever they need to charge them up. So when you're traveling, your vehicle's alternator is charging the batteries. When you're plugged in, this power converter is charging the batteries, along with the solar panel. Okay, the solar panel controller is over here. So you can see, hopefully you can see it okay. Let me see, do we need more? Let me turn the lights on here. Maybe we need a little bit more light. Oops, sorry. There we go. Okay. So, this is your solar controller. Right now it's telling us that you've got a flooded batteries, which you do, and the batteries have 13.7 volts in them, which are perfect. That's exactly what you want. So the only button you're going to use here is the B button now, because you only have one battery. There's 2 batteries, but it just sees it as one because they're wired together as one. Okay, you push it here, and this is the solar panel here. So you can see the sun at the arrow pointing towards the solar panel there. I don't know if you can read that, but right now we're gaining 4.6 amps from the sun, and it's being stored in your battery. So that's how you tell what you're getting from the sun, right? You push it again, and you can see that you're 100% charged. And again, then you get amp hours stored in your battery, right? The thing to remember, that if your batteries are completely 100% full, like no room to put any more power in them, you'll see FUL will flash on the screen, which is telling you your batteries are full. Then when you look at the solar panel, even if it's a bright sunny day, it's going to say 0.0. That's just because it shut itself down because there's nowhere to store the 12 volts, right? So keep that in mind. If you see it 0.0 and it's flashing FUL, it's just telling you that it's got no room left to store. Okay. So you also could, let's say you're getting yourself into trouble and you're stranded somewhere, you can use the solar panel to, like, say, charge a cell phone right here if you wanted to. That sort of thing. Now, we'll go over this again when you pick up, of course, but I'm just giving you the general idea. And the thing is, if you want to learn more about any of these things, go to the website and put in the product or product number, and they'll have manufacturer's videos too. GoPower, I know, has a huge selection of informational stuff on their website, so it's good to read up on. Okay, so below us, this is just a thermostat. Right now it's off. You click it once to the right is heat. You click it this way, it's cool. You can hear the air conditioner kick on there. Always leave the fan on auto. That's the best way to run it. Okay. The furnace, if I was to choose furnace, the furnace will light automatically. So you don't have to light anything. You just turn it on and it will kick on. When you shut it off, it'll still continue to run. Although you shut the furnace off, the power will, or the flame will go out, but it'll still continue to complete its cycle to cool down. So that's normal. And if you run it on fan, the other option, or excuse me, fan, the other option, that's just the air conditioner running without the compressor. It's just circulating air. Okay? All right. So back over here. I'm kind of all over the place today, sorry. Okay, so let me see if I can get rid of this glare with the sun here. I don't know if I can do it with one hand. Please bear with me. Yeah, I think that's better. Give the camera time to react. Okay, so this is your panel here. So you saw me turn the lights on and off. I started to use these switches till I focused in on it. This one here turns your water pump on. Remember I told you the water pump is for pumping water out of the fresh water tank when you don't have city water. It's also used to winterize the trailer. To light your heater on gas, it's right there, and there's the fault light right there. To turn it on electric, that's it right there. Never run it without water in it. And you have tank heaters in this one, so it heats up your tanks so you can extend your camping season. There's heating pads on each tank, plus a smaller one around the necks and the elbow or by the valve. And you just turn that on that way, of course. This is your slide out switch here, and this is your power awning switch here. Never leave the power awning out unattended, or else it can get damaged. So your battery's charged. Fresh water's got 1/3 in it. Black is empty, and gray is empty. You can see these graduate up in 1/3 increments. Once you get past 2/3, you got to start thinking about dumping the gray and the black tanks. Okay. Also, there are apps for this. See that there? Okay. Now this thing that says Wi-Fi is the Wi-Fi Ranger, which is a public Wi-Fi signal booster. So if you look at this sticker here, the top line says network. You see Tenton 1072. That's you. That's your Wi-Fi Ranger. So you and all your family members go to the Wi-Fi section of your phone or tablets, and you make up a password so it'll log into Tenton 1072 automatically, right? Then, in a browser, you type this address in, and this password, change me now 1072. You obviously eventually change that password, but you type this in, it'll take you to the web page that basically shows you everything that Wi-Fi Ranger has seen. All the public Wi-Fi, all the Wi-Fi period. So if you're at a campground and they gave you a special passcode, for example, to use their Wi-Fi, you would find it on the list, click on it, put in your passcode, and you're all set. So instead of hooking all your phones up to the public Wi-Fi, you hook your phones automatically log onto the Wi-Fi Ranger, and then you just have to use the Wi-Fi Ranger to log on to whatever Wi-Fi you want. And also there's an app, of course, or there's more information anyway. But it's a really good signal booster. It's up on the roof. It works really well. And there's another function that has to do with cellular service, but it would be a monthly fee. And you do it, I believe, through your cell phone provider. but we're not going to get into that because that's up to you if you're interested. Most people don't use it. They've already got cellular service if they got a phone. And a lot of times people who work from their trailer, whether they're traveling nurses or journeymen or whatever they are, they sometimes they'll have the cellular service, but generally speaking, the free Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi booster is where it's at. So, okay? All right, so your music here and sound and discs are right here. Obviously the TV works like any other TV. It's on a swivel bracket. Just make sure you snap it into place so that the TV will lock into place when you're getting ready to travel. You do that so it doesn't flip around. So you have AM FM radio on this. You can play discs, CDs and DVDs here. You've got you can stream off of a USB stick. You got Bluetooth, so you can stream from your phone or your tablet. So it has everything you need. Three speaker zones. 1 and 2 are in this main area. 3 is outside. Now, 3 corresponds with this button that says Z3. If you push it, you can set a different source for the radio outside as in what's playing inside. So let's say you're watching a video inside, you could push Z3, get an FM radio source, a station, and then set the volume, and it will play outside. So you basically can have 2 different sources for your radio at the same time, or for your unit at the same time. So anytime you want to specifically set the outside speakers to something specific, like a CD or a CD or a FM station, whatever, you have to push Z3 and set it independently. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Sometimes I get a little carried away. This HDMI is an in, so if you wanted to go into the system with something, you would do it right there. Okay? Alright, I gotta pick up the pace. I'm running out of time here. So your table just folds down. You always have it in a down position when you're traveling. The table sits on these cleats here. There's some Velcro on there. Just to lower it, you just push this lever to the right and then collapse the hinges, and it'll drop right down onto these cleats. Always travel like that so it doesn't bounce around and break something. It's also a bed. So if you got people visiting, whatever, you can turn that into a bed and they can sleep on it. Alright. These are your remotes, your TV remote and your stereo remote. I never know what to call it, because it does play discs too. But okay, so in this packet has information for all of the appliances in this trailer. So keep that in mind. Like I stated earlier, you can always go to the manufacturer of the component and look at their product videos too. This is a tire monitor. It has to be programmed. Basically, in your 4 tires, not the spare tire, that doesn't have a sensor in it, but the 4 tires have a sensor in it. And basically, the sensor is stuck on the wheel inside the tire. So it's on the inside of the tire, stuck on the wheel directly across from the valve stem. That's where your sensor is going to be. And you're basically going to set it up so you can, it'll basically tell you what the pressure of the tires are, and then there's also alarm settings to tell you if you're getting a flat, whatever. Also, it'll tell you the temperature of the hubs, so it'll give you an idea of the temperature of each hub. Now, they're not going to be identical ever. Some people kind of overreact, but if there's slight fluctuations in the different temperatures, that's not that big a deal. But if one really starts heating it up, obviously there's a big deal. So that's what this is. You take this in your towed vehicle with you. It's a little monitor. Okay. All right, so pick up the page here, Carl. This is the rain chute I told you about. Remember the vent on the outside, you want to open the baffle. Microwave works like any other microwave. This RV stove works like any other RV stove. I don't know if the battery's on or the gas is on right now, but this is the sparker. You got 3 burners and 3 knobs, and then this one is the oven. So let's see if we're on here. No, he's got it shut off. But you just turn the burner on and spark it by turning it clockwise, it'll light. When it comes to the oven, you can see back there, you can see me sparking the pilot light back there. So what you do is you go to the oven knob, go to the picture of the flame and depress it. You keep it depressed, then you start sparking it with your other hand by turning it clockwise. Eventually the pilot light will light, and when you see that, you still hold this in for another 10 seconds or so to heat up the thermocouple, then you go to operating temperature. When you shut it off, the flame goes out, but so does the pilot light, so you have to relight the pilot light each time you use the oven. And always travel with this glass top shut. Never leave it open. Okay. The refrigerator is a 12-volt DC refrigerator. Okay. This is your carbon monoxide LP gas detector. It should always be green. If it's not, get it serviced. Always get it serviced if it's not green. It detects carbon monoxide buildup in LP gas. Also, if it beeps very slowly, the same tone but very slowly, it's telling you your battery's low. GFCI, all the plugs in the trailer are wired through a GFCI, so keep that in mind. Even if they don't look like it, if they just look like a regular plug, they're still wired through here, so this is where you reset it. The toilet, typical RV toilet, you have to have chemical and water in it to use it. So when you get to the campground, you hook up your power and your water, you'll come in here, you'll dump 1 dose of chemical right in a bowl and down into the black tank there, which is directly below. Then you step on the pedal, water will come swirling out. You put about a gallon or so of water in there. Some people use more, it's up to you. But the bottom line is, if you don't have chemical and water in there when you start using it, the smell will be terrible, 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 and also it can get clogged up. So make sure you always use water and chemical in it. Okay, so shower works like any other shower except this feature right here. This is a water miser or shower miser. Basically, it's a recirculator. It takes the water and it sends it from here back around through the water heater, back around, and it just keeps looping the same water around and around while it heats up. Therefore, you're not wasting water like you're in a drought area. You can't just waste water, let it go down the drain while you're heating up the shower, right? So this just sends it around in a circle so you don't waste any fresh water. Also, as you waste the water, it would be going down into your gray tank, and so you'd actually be using up your limited amount of storage in your gray tank. This way, you turn it on. Eventually, this will turn a beige color. You'll see it plain as day. You know that means it's hot, it's ready to go. Then you just put it in the regular position and use it like a shower. But it's just a water recirculator, and it just recirculates it in a loop until it heats up. Okay? Like I said, you could always look at the literature in the packet also. Okay, so I think I've covered everything. Let me look around here to make sure. The TV, I can't see this way. Let me see if I can get it with one hand. There we go. Over here you can see that, I don't know if you can see it or not. It's kind of tough. Let me get in there. See that green light there? There's a little button next to it. You can shut that off, but you want it on if you're using the antenna. That's the digital signal booster there, and you won't get a good picture unless it's on. So keep that in mind. It should always be glowing green. Okay? And like I said, this has got a barrel catch on it, so it locks into position. Just make sure you lock it before you travel. Okay. All right, so thank you for purchasing your trailer here at National RV Detroit. And please remember what I said about inspecting the roof every 90 days. That's very important if you own a trailer. People generally don't do it enough. It just takes a minute. You have to be very careful. And right now this trailer has been de-winterized, so it's in camping mode. That means there's no antifreeze in the system anymore. It's all water and it's ready to go. Okay, thank you.